going on, DGen Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the 3M Open. Not as usual, Byron is not here this week. He is taking a bike trip across Middle America or some shit. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but he's on vacation. He's not going to be here. So we have our resident fill-in of the third member of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates. It is Mr. Ryan Baroff. Ryan, what is up, my friend? How are you, brother?
Good, Kenny. Happy to be here. And we're living in a world where Xander Schauffele is a two-time major champion.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. Yeah, what he did yesterday is pretty amazing. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Mayo. Get yourself a deposit bonus up to $250. Join Underdog Fantasy today. Yeah, pretty impressive stuff by Mr. Xander Schauffele. I mean, I guess the biggest thing is, when people look back at this final round, that back nine could go down as one of the best back nines in major history. He gained 6 strokes on the field on the back nine alone. Pretty impressive stuff. Once he made that birdie on 11, which will be what I think the tournament should be remembered for, because that is when he won the event. 11 was by far the hardest hole. So many people hitting it out of bounds, so many provisionals, so many lost balls. And he goes out there, hits that unbelievable little punch shot to basically pin high, knocks that in for his birdie, and then it was just a wrap from there. It's pretty incredible that he only had, when it comes to par putts, his longest par putt of the day was 2 feet 10 inches. That's pretty incredible. No stress. No worry, just going out there, doing his thing and becoming a 2-time major champion. I think the most impressive thing is everyone talks about his PGA Championship win, easier course, didn't play as hard as people would like. But then to win one where you had to grind your face off, for 4 days in shitty weather, horrible. That shows like the caliber of golfer he is. It doesn't really matter what type of course that he can get on. More than likely, if it's a big time competition, he's going to be somewhere in the mix at some point in time. How many top 20s does he have this season? Has he finished outside the top 20? Maybe. I don't even know. I don't even know if he has this year. Pretty incredible stuff by him. Justin Rose was amazing. Justin Rose probably should have won if he was in the right wave. To do what he did from the bad weather wave, it was incredible because you could tell like he was living and dying with every shot. It was so much fun to watch him play. On Sunday, he didn't really lose it. You know what I'm saying? He shot 67 or something like that. That's a pretty good Sunday in an Open Championship. You know what I'm saying? He had that one bogey. He missed a couple of 5-foot birdie putts that might have gotten him back into it. But overall, the man was incredible. Billy Horschel, really big stones, being in the lead all that time and then coming back on the last 3 holes to get a second-place finish and being exempt from all 4 majors next year. What did you think about the event? I can go on for days about this. What did you enjoy? What did you notice about Shroom?
Yeah, so I think let's start with what you were saying. Obviously, Xander, story number 1, bogey-free 65. That'll do it. That was awesome. Put on an absolute clinic, especially with his irons. But I was really impressed with the short game. He didn't have that much stress on Sunday, but the ones he got up and down, like there was one early on from the thick stuff on the right-hand side. I think it was it could have been a 3rd hole that he almost holed. And then the one over the bunker on the back nine that he stiffed. Those are not easy shots, but overall, just all of those guys played really well. Like you said with Horschel, that was a bit of a backdoor with the birdies late, but he shot 68. Rose shot 67. Thurston Lawrence shot 68. Lowry came back with a 68. Quite honestly, except for Dan Brown, the worst score up there was Scotty Scheffler shooting 72 on Sunday. I didn't get to watch a lot. I actually wasn't home, wasn't by a TV all of Sunday, so I was tracking and got to see some highlights on Twitter, and then I rewatched it the last 5 holes last night. But Xander just looked completely in control. He didn't become the favorite until the 11th or 12th hole though. it kind of looked like Rose and Horschel for a while. Lawrence had the lead at the turn, but once Xander took a hold of it, he was not going to let up.
Yeah, I thought Thurston, he surprised me. I know he's won before. I know he's super talented inside the top 100, but I didn't expect him to hold on like he did on Sunday. At one point, I was like, man, this guy.
He's a dog, man. He's a dog.
Like, this guy.
Like, there's not. So the European Tour, obviously, they don't have the best stats. They're getting better, and like you can learn a lot about these players. He's pretty strong off the tee, and he's a pretty strong putter, right? And so when you have kind of those two skill sets, your spike weeks are going to be really good.
He's like you're a Wyndham Clark, man.
Kind of. Yeah, like not quite that long prolifically, but
it's pretty long.
He's a winner. He's won 4 times on the DP Tour since 2021. Has won multiple times on the Sunshine Tour. So yeah, that dude can play.
Yeah, it's just I thought going into the week there would be 1 or 2 elite bombers that go out there and surprise, or like JB Holmes in 2016, something like that. As the week went on, I thought definitely accuracy was going to be more important. Maybe in the beginning of the week, I was like, maybe these big bombers have a chance, but I never really gave up hope on that strategy. I just didn't think it was going to be as prolific. I thought maybe 1 or 2 guys, like a Bryson or a Rory or a Ludwig, might be able to do it. No, it was Thurston Lawrence, who was hitting 3-wood and driver on every hole, being super aggressive out there, hitting mad fairways. I was impressed. I was very, very impressed.
Yep, he was great. Yeah, those guys just got blown off the planet early. Look, it's tough. I mean, the weather's unpredictable. There was obviously a massive wave edge that you referenced that, Rose kind of got the bad end of it, or he probably would have won this pretty easily, quite frankly.
The way he was playing, yes.
He had to play on Saturday, that back 9 in, as bad a conditions as I've ever seen out there.
Yeah, it was horrible on Saturday. I did not catch a lot of that. I was out with my grandma, 92-year-old grandma, finally stopped driving. And, I don't know if she stopped, grand larcenies, but I know she stopped driving. So I got to take her a whole bunch of places. If she asked me to take her to the mall, I might have some second thoughts about that. I don't know if you heard that story about my grandmother, who had like a crew of like old grandmas who would go to Potomac Mills Mall when I was younger, and they would all steal shit. They were bored. They would steal shit, and like whoever stole like the most expensive shit would get everyone's stolen material.
Oh, that's
so badass. Like. Yeah, it was like there were like a crew of like grandmas doing that shit. It was wild. A couple of years, everyone knows how I hit that guy, right? I drilled a dude, and nothing ever happened. Like nothing ever happened, which is crazy. Like I don't even know if the guy's alive or dead. Like nothing ever happened. But I thought there would be like a police report or something. So I bought one of those things where you could check your like records.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so. I was checking like random family members, and my grandmother's like, why does my grandmother have a grand larceny charge? Why does my grandmother have 2 grand larceny charges?
That's awesome.
Why does my grandmother at 82 years old, 10 years ago, got arrested for burglary tools? Like, I got no idea what the fuck she did in her life. Like, this shit is so crazy to me. Like, and she's like, if I'm scared of her still. She's like 92. I'm pretty sure she can still whoop my fucking ass. Right. So I can't be like, yo, grandma, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? She would probably wouldn't answer the question. So I was very, very curious about this. So I see my grandmother once or twice a month, take her to the doctor, hospital, lunch, groceries, shit like that. So I had to do that. My idiot ass planned that on fucking Saturday of the Open Championship. I'll be a fucking dumbass, but whatever, family's family, right? You got to take care of fam. Got to take care of fam. Yeah, Dan Brown, Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code, motherfucker. He was out there ruining people's lives in round 1. Did you have a Lowry first round ticket?
No. And I actually mentioned Dan Brown earlier in the week, and I had nothing on him, so I was hoping he was not going to be first round leader. But again, like, look, super unpredictable, but these British guys, these English guys can pop up, and he is, again, a guy who has one skill set, and that is off the tee. And he bombs it. He hits a ton of fairways, and you saw that for a day and a half, if not more. That guy's a dog too.
Yeah. So a guy on X that I like, Jim Cummings, he hit fucking Dan Brown. Yeah, 350 to 1. I forget his Twitter name, but you should follow. You guys should follow him.
Because, he played the wave split too. You know, Brown was very, very late on Thursday, and the last time.
And you know, this guy Jim, he picks winners often. So I would go look up Jim Cummings on X and follow him, because pretty solid dude, really good with the tips out there. Other things, I guess, you know, Sung Jae has become this guy who makes the cut on a number.
He's back,
and now backdooring top tens I think he did that like back-to-back events. I think he did that like a couple of weeks ago at some event also. I'm trying to remember.
I think
where he like made the cut on it. Might have been Scottish. Was it the Scottish?
No, he would know, because he had like a 63 at first round of the Scottish.
Okay,
it was the Memorial, because he opened.
It was some event where he was like dead last.
Yeah, well, the Memorial had like a +5 cut, and he was like 5 over the first day, 5 or 6 over, I think. Yeah,
and he came back pretty, and you know, Benny Ann with the 13th, couple of Korean little Benny Ann action. I did buy a Sung Jae M jersey, which I am excited about. If it's good quality, I'll tell everyone where they can get it and stuff. But you know, I don't want to say it and it'd be like a piece of shit before I get it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say where I got it from yet. Let me get it first. Let me make sure, you know, shit's tight. I'll wear it on the pod if it's tight, and then we'll talk about where we got it from. But I'm going to be wearing that, and I bought one of those old school Asian hats, those Korean like old school that are like round like this, like an Asian sombrero is basically what it's like. It's like round like this, and then like a pointy top, right? Like really high. It's like old school, like, you know, 19th century village Korean people, you know. Awesome. So I'm going to wear that, and I'm going to wear the Sung Jae M jersey. I think that's how I'm going to rock it in Montreal when we go down there. Other things about the Open Championship. Let's just say the course did what the weather did what it was supposed to do. Everyone's in love with Troon, right? In love with Troon. If it was sunny and 65 with 10-mile-per-hour winds, winner would have been 22 under. People would have won ape shit. Yeah. Okay. So let's just go ahead and get that straight about the Open Championship here and the courses. All right. You know, it's literally all dependent on the weather. And unluckily, actually, you know, 80% of the time the weather's shitty, except for like the last decade when we do the Open Championship. It sort of feels like that's the way it's been, right? We're not getting the right weather at the Open Championship, and people are bashing courses because of this. And I mean, like, these are like really, they're trying to make it 7,300 yards, and that's like the tippity tip of these open road of courses, right? And so, of course, these guys are going to crush these courses if the weather is nice. It doesn't matter if it's true, and it doesn't matter if it's St. Andrew. It doesn't matter what the fuck course it is over there. If it's 70 degrees and sunny with no wind, they're going to fucking shoot 22 under par. Exactly. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be, right? I mean, you got to think, right? Am I wrong about this, Ryan?
No, and I think you saw it last week at the Scottish, which, again, is not quite as difficult, of course, as this, but it was softer. There were many hours where there was no wind, and those guys were just torching it. So, like, I mean, I felt like, sure, there were some random names up there this week, but overall, I mean, the leaderboard, you know, was pretty good and pretty predictable. You had Scotty and Xander, who have been the two best players on tour this year, and just a lot of guys who have been very, very solid without winning. You talk about talk about Lowry, you talk about Noren and Benny On. From the Live Tour, Dean Burmester was up there, and he's been awesome this year. Straka was kind of near the top 20. Like, all these guys that have just been really good all year. Morikawa was obviously up there, who is arguably the third best player in the world right now. So, Rahm, should we talk about?
I thought Rahm showed some mettle finally, right? Showed a little something. You know, I'm guessing the last three were just a fluke. He'll come back and be good at majors again. Maybe he was just adapting to his new situation, and it took a little bit longer for him to get comfortable in his own skin again, basically. Because like I said before, when it comes to Rahm, he's almost like Bryson. Like, he wants to be liked, right? Sure. Yeah. Like he wants to be liked. Like, he wants to get to the course and everyone go to him, shake his hand. They want to see Jon Rahm because he's a nice guy, not just because he's a great golfer.
Right.
And I think, he doesn't fall into the Bryson trap where he overdoes that. But I think he has that same mind frame. And I think, going to these events, coming from Live, he expected to be welcomed with open arms, and it wasn't fucking like that. It wasn't fucking like that for him. And I think it was a little bit of a shock. Now he realizes what the deal is. Focus, get your shit done. You've already made your bed. You can't change it. Take your money, make sure you get your work in, and then go and, win a major next year or two. I'm sure it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I've been on his side a little bit in terms of how he's been playing this year, because obviously he hasn't won, but he has been pretty solid on Live. I think he leads them in birdies, obviously leads them in top 5 and top 10 finishes. So like, it's not like he's ejecting and shooting 75 every day. But yeah, it was good to see. He just couldn't put it all together. There were days where he putted really well and did nothing else. On Friday, he chipped in a couple times and did nothing else. So I think it'll come. Rahm is going to be interesting, though. He's going to be a factor in majors for a long time. And I'm just not worried about him at all.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the 28-1 and stuff anymore.
It was over 30. I think.
It was over 30. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that. A couple other people I want to talk about. First, JT.
Yeah.
Like to shoot as low as he does in some rounds, the shit is still there. Like,
yeah,
it can. I want to see him in a birdie fest. Like he's playing all. I want to see him like in a birdie fest that he's comfortable with. Like, or something.
Scottish was in. He opened with a 62, and then
and then he shit the bed. Yeah. At some point in time, he's going to get those big numbers out of the way, right? And he's going to be back to being good again, right?
Yeah, but so like he's obviously just not sharp right now, but I don't really think he's playing much worse than he ever did, because his skill set, right, is that he can hit wedges and irons really, really close to the hole.
We didn't see 78s and 80s from him.
But he was always wild off the tee, right? Like that was always his thing. Is like, all right, he's not a great driver. He hits it far enough, but he can spray the ball off the tee, and like that's what's been getting him. He's losing ball. He's hitting balls out of bounds. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's hope on the horizon for him.
Yeah.
Just because, if you could shoot like 63s and 64s every week, at some point that shit's got to click.
I can always find the positives I think Tiger looked fine. So like, I can always find the positives in these guys.
Well, a 64 is pretty fucking positive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like he's out there shooting like 69, 68.
Yeah.
He's shooting low, like low rounds of the day.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a consistency factor for him. I think he's someone that, maybe during these FedEx Cup playoffs, you could see something from him. Somewhere where there's just not 8s on the board that are readily available, even though it seems like maybe he could find them. Last person I want to talk about is Rory. So I've been having Rory's back for a while, right? Sort of switched my stance on Rory after all the bullshit he went through with the PGA, and they treat him like dog shit, right? As much as I didn't like him, he didn't deserve that type of bullshit because he has been a leader. He has spoken out for the PGA Tour and stuff like that, and has been the face of it. And to go through what he did, it just sort of, it was ugly in my mind, and I couldn't root against him anymore. I sort of liked him again because he sort of started being real. And I don't know, but what he said after his round about basically just not even giving a fuck.
Yeah,
he should have kept his mouth shut.
I
get it.
Probably
I get it
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you don't say that shit, man.
Yeah.
You do not say that shit. And no professional athlete, at least lie, motherfucker, lie. That's the one time where I would be like, it's okay to lie. You don't say I give up.
Yep.
You're like, I just didn't have it today. That's not a lie. That was the truth. You didn't have it today. You're like, oh man, game wasn't there. That's all you had to say. Right?
Yeah.
That's all you had to say. You're like, it wasn't my week. Shit, that's all he had to say. And we'd have been like, all right.
Yeah, it was tough.
He said, he was like, I didn't give a fuck about the last 14 holes. Fuck that shit. I am fucking. All right, fine. I ain't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I ain't give a fuck.
But then he did make some birdies come home. So
I guess
it was disappointing.
It is because you saw people fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, the Homa thing was the worst thing that could have happened to him.
Yeah.
That video of Homa just double fist pumping, making a 30-foot birdie putt on the last just to make the cut. Right.
Yeah, well, that and Bobby Mack, who was 8 over after 4 holes. And,
yeah. Like, well, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I was disappointed. I was like, there's not much I could do because I was heavily invested in Roy this week, mostly from future. Yeah, mostly from my futures bet. So like, there's nothing you can do about that. But the only thing that I noticed is since his win at Wells Fargo, he's been playing well. He's been playing fine. But every single start since then, his irons have gotten worse. And again, like him shooting 20 over par was not just the irons, it was everything. But, that was something that I probably should have seen.
That can happen. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay. Oh, he had a shitty, people talk shit for like a day or two.
Yep.
This shit's going to ring in people's ears for a long time.
Until he wins a major, basically.
Yeah. This shit is going to ring in people's ears for a long time. This is going to be a soundbite that you're going to hear for Rory McIlroy from the haters forever.
Yep.
It just seemed like that was a mistake. All right, we were going along. One more thing. Nick Dunlop. Wow. Amateur, win as an amateur, win as a pro.
Yep.
Same season. Pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking sick.
He's great. With all the top amateur events and these kids, playing high-level college golf, like you can see when they're coming. He was one last year that you knew he was coming. Aberg, you knew he was coming. Thorbjornsen, he's coming. Planton, like you're seeing all that stuff now. But I think Dunlap, I mean, he's not as good as Aberg yet, but that's the trajectory he can be on. I was just pissed because, he was my favorite bet at the John Deere a couple weeks ago. I saw the number, should have bet it. It could have been the only bet last week that you needed. And that one hurt to miss, especially with some guys who were up there.
There's an amateur that did pretty well at the John Deere that's in the field this week that I might have bet, So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. All right, so let's move on. I know last major of the year, so we had a nice little conversation about that. Let's talk about our YouTube winner. Once again, every episode, go to our YouTube comments page, pick the winner of the event of that week, leave your DraftKings handle in that same comment. The first person that picked the correct winner will go up against Byron and I. This week it'll be Byron, Ryan, and I in a 4-man. And then if you beat us in that 3-man, you will move on to the Tournament of Champions. Last week's winner, KV Smooth, beat Byron and I. He is in our Tournament of Champions. Congrats to KV Smooth. Smooth up. Smoove. Our winner for this week is Vegas Guy 16 at Craig Stevenson on YouTube. DK handle Vegas Guy 16. He picked Xander. He was the first person to pick Xander. And so he will be in our 4-man this week. Make sure you go do that each and every week. It drives our comments up, helps with our algorithm on the old YouTube. All right, so before we move on, let's go ahead and pay some bills. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I personally like the Pick'em games. Pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. Can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a Pick'em entry. Can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Now, the reason I like the Pick'em games is because of these things called scorchers. There's these little chili peppers next to the golfers' names, and if you click on that, it adds to your multiplier, so you can win even more money. Sign up today with promo code Mayo and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant Pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, so let's come back for our underdog segment of the week. Of course, last week, I did hit the second round underdog pick'em that I put out. That actually saved my week on small net positive. I also did hit Sungjae with 8 places, a little bit chopped, and I had Justin Rose live last week, 28-1 on Friday with 4 places. So I got those 2 place money. So save my week. DFS, let's not talk about that until we get to it. But at least for now, my underdog play for this week, I'm going to go against guys who played last week. And also, maybe one of them not the most plentiful with birdies that often. The first thing I'm going to go lower than 4.5 birdies for Billy Horschel. To be in contention all 4 days, to be in that grind mentally, and honestly not be used to it, right? I mean, it's not like this dude's in contention week in and week out, right? To have that type of stress physically and emotionally and mentally, and come back. I mean, he could ride a high and be the first round leader. Who knows? But I'm going to bet against that this week. I'm going to go under 4.5 birdies for the first round. You do get a chili pepper. This is a scorcher play, so your multiplier does get raised. Another reason why I was tempted to do this. My next play is Bhatia. So actually, he missed the cut, but really, in the last like 3 or 4, in the last, I guess his last 6 events, he's like not even in the top half of this field in birdie or better. Now I know he's played some more difficult courses, so technically, but that's compared to the people that he has played against in those tournaments. So there could be some, stuff when I'm looking at these stats where guys who haven't played, the majors and the signature events, they're playing and they have better birdie or better numbers because they're playing easier courses. But still, he's like 84th in birdie or better percentage in the last 24 rounds in this field in my model, right? He's coming again, flying from Scotland. I think did he play the Scottish Open?
I don't. No, he didn't. He skipped.
He did not. Okay. So he's coming back. I don't know. Again, 5 birdies anytime. I'm going to go less than 5 birdies for Akshay. And then I like Taylor Pendrith a lot. Top 10 in birdies or better in the last 24 rounds. So I'm going to go, he played last week at the Cuda, which, not that much of a travel compared to, coming from Scotland here, condition-wise, stuff like that. He's been playing these sort of birdie pitch and putt type places pretty often. He should be used to it. I like Pendrith more than 4.5 birdies. So Billy Horschel lower than 4.5 birdies. Akshay lower than 5 birdies. Pendrith higher than 4.5 birdies. Pays 6.5 times. Ryan, who do you like? What you got?
So we're on the same wavelength here, which is good. One course history play for me. I will take Cameron Davis more than 4.5 birdies. I think it's only a 0.9x, but he's got some of the best course history in the field. Obviously won the Rocket Mortgage, played really well at the Scottish, was not in the Open, so he's actually coming in fresh, did not have to play in that dogfight in those conditions, so really like him. I'm also going to pick on Billy Horschel, but I will take the strokes. I will take the more than higher than 68.5 strokes. So don't want him to shoot 3 under or better. And then lastly, coming off an 80, Sam Burns, higher than 2 bogeys or worse. A lot of water out here, lots of ways to make bogeys. My dude just shot an 80. Probably going to be gassed a little bit. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he withdrew at some point this week before the event. But I will take Burns over 2 bogeys is probably my best bet of the day.
All right, that sounds good. Let's go into our betting segment for this week. Why don't you go ahead and start? Who you got so far this week, my friend?
Yeah, went with more of a balanced card this week. Lots of guys at the top between Finau and Keith Mitchell and those guys who I easily could have gotten to, but I didn't. I started right at the 45-1 number. There were 3 guys there. I mentioned Cam Davis already. Really good course history. We've seen Bobby Mack and Nick Dunlap now win twice in the same year. Why not Cam Davis at a course that should fit him really well? I also took Taylor Penderith. So you mentioned you like him a lot. I'm really big into the sort of getting off the tee this week. He's played well some comp courses. I think this will suit him really well. He's coming off another really strong finish at the Barracuda. And then also EVR was at that 45-1 number. Quite frankly, I did not expect to see that. I thought he'd be in the 30 to 33 range this week. We talk about it every year, but he went to school in Minnesota. At some point, he's going to play well at this event. He hasn't done it yet. But I really like that number on EVR.
All right. Any other? I'll go ahead and go with mine next. Let's go ahead and do mine. Okay. Again, like I spoke of earlier, I'm betting the amateur. I'm betting Luke Clan. This guy is really good. Yeah. And with all these young guys winning out nowadays, the learning curve is short. These guys come out here and win. He came in second on another par 71, somewhat birdie fest with bent grass greens just 3 weeks ago at the John Deere. He finished runner-up. Gained almost 7 strokes with his irons that week. His off the tee game is exceptionally strong. I like off the tee. I think you want to be long, either long and avoid bogeys. There's a couple of things that like a combined stat, or accurate off the tee. So I like that strokes gained off the tee number as well. I'll be looking at that pretty strongly, and I know that he is strong on that. I'm going to bet Burns. This is a gut feeling. It just feels like he's on the verge. I know it's basically, you could make the same argument I made for Billy Horschel for Burns, except Burns is maybe a couple of years younger, and he just had a child, so he's probably used to sleepless nights and being a little bit tired, probably a little bit more in Billy Ho right now at his age. But this is just a gut play. The guy just seems to know. Just come out there and have those blazing rounds, and a couple of them, in an event. And, this event can become a putting contest, and it's not that difficult to put on these greens. He could just go out there and just make everything and be fine. And so I'm going to go, I took him at 28-1 with 3 places. So, I got a decent number off that. I don't know if I'd go like 14-1, 16-1 with like the 8 places. Like, or even if you went just win outright, you probably can't even get this number. This is a Bet365 number when you do the each way 3 places. Yeah. So I got him at 28-1. I'm going to go ahead and take Killer Keith Mitchell at 50-1. Again, form is good. He plays well in like these type of courses with a lot of water. For some reason, he tends to play like you think of a Honda and stuff like that. Yep. I like him at 50-1. I like Jonathan Vegas at 50-1. This week, both of these are 8 places. Andrew Novak at 66-1. And then Nick Hardy at 150-1 is what I'm going with this week. Did you have anything else to add?
Yeah. So in that same range, I took Kurt Kitayama. So I was watching the golf on Friday, and I was like, when the field came out, right? And I always look at the field early, and I kind of go through, and it just kind of struck me that if you're talking about sort of these waterlogged, driver-heavy courses, lots of wind, you can get into trouble, PGA National Comp, like Kurt Kitayama just sort of stood out, and then ended up playing really well at the Open. I think he finished about 40th. He was one of the best iron players in the field. He gained off the tee as well. Obviously, has the upside. He's won Bay Hill, so like he can win the Rocket Mortgage. The 3M. 2 triple-digit ones for me, and again, sticking with the bomber mold. Jake Knapp at 100. Why can't he win twice, right? He played really well at the Barracuda last week, and not the way that you would expect it. His short game was actually really good. The off the tee was bad, but perfect golf course for him. And then back to the Cam Champwell. I was part of a group that hit him here a few years ago. He's been god-awful, but again, showed a little bit at the Barracuda with the iron play and with the putting. Perfect golf course for him. And at 151, I don't really care if he loses. So.
If I remember correctly, he was playing real shitty before he won this event last time, right?
Yeah, he had one good finish at the Deere, but he had cut, withdraw, cut, and then finished 11th at the Deere, and then won the next week. So it's a big number. This guy has won 3 times now on tour. Yeah, plenty of upside there for Cam Champ.
All right, so let's actually get to this week. The PGA Tour heads to Minnesota for the 3M Open from TPC Twin Cities. The first 2 years the event was held here is, pretty much a birdie fest. As the golfers have finished top 10 average around 23 birdies for the week. The last 3 years was a bit more difficult because of windy, more firm conditions. It looks like it's going to play maybe on the windier side this week. Looking at the early forecast, I'm seeing like 30 mile per hour gusts Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It seems weird. It is in the morning is when I see these gusts. And from what I've heard from some people who live in Minnesota, that, that can change in an instant. I don't know if it's like Scottish-like, but did not pay attention this early. So we'll see as the week goes on. The course has been used to play for the senior guys. The senior guys used to crush this place also. I did the winning score was like -21 when the PGA came. They added like 300 yards, like 100 trees, cut down the fairway width. And then so the fairway went from like 40 to 30 yards, still above average in width. Like the guy who ran this event, I don't know if he still runs it, but the first year, what was his name? Hollis Kavner, right? He's the a 3M Open executive. He said that like he wasn't looking for like boring golf. He didn't want par golf. He wanted birdies and train wrecks is basically what he wants at this place. And with the amount of water that they have around here, train wrecks are definitely possible when it comes down to it. Now, this is an Arnold Palmer designed course, 7,450 yards, par 71, 4 par 3s, 3 par 5s. The length of the course, bit deceiving. The course is about 1,000 feet above sea level. All shots will go just a little bit further than normal, which will cut down the actual length of the course. Also, there's like a shit ton of tee boxes here. So like the PGA can pick and choose, they have a lot of free reign when it comes to the yardage at this location. The par 5s are on the longer side, but golfers with above average length could reach in two due to the altitude, giving the ball a little bit more juice. The par 3s are going to be some of the more difficult holes on the course. All but the par 3 fourth will play over 200 yards. Par 4s vary in length, 2 under 400 yards, 4 between 400 and 450, 5 between 450 and 502. Scoring is going to need to come on these par 4s for golfers to be in contention. Of the golfers in the top 10, like the first couple of years, the majority shot -7 or better on the par 4s. The last 3 years, it wasn't as good, but it was still strong compared to the field. Off the tee, golfers will see tree-lined fairways that are above average in width, with fairway bunkers in the landing zones and water in play on a lot of tee shots. Strokes gained off the tee looks like it was an important stat, something I'm definitely going to be looking at in either, like I said, bombers who can go out there but don't really make big numbers, or accurate guys, who could still give it a good poke. Is going to be what I am going to look for. Because, you've seen like Bryson and Wolf do well here. You've seen, Thompson and Long do well here also the very next year. So I think just looking at that stat and looking at those smaller stats inside that strokes gained off the tee number is going to be smart. Approach game, I think, from 175 to 200 is going to be important. Birdie making prowess, strokes gained off the tee, good drive percentage. The trees aren't bunched up like we see on most East Coast parkland courses, and there is a lot of room between the edge of the fairway and the tree line. Golfers that miss the fairway will most likely have to deal with like 3-inch rough, though if they miss wildly, it's trees and water. On approaches, golfers are going to see greens that are above average in size. 75% of the greens were hit in regulation last year, so I expect that number to come down if it is this type of windy forecast. The greens are fairly flat, surrounded by rough, bunkers, and water, with most having a runoff area only in the front of the greens. The grass on the greens is pure bent grass, and the stiffening rating, 12.5. What are you looking for in golfers this week, Brian?
Yeah, that was good. That was a good synopsis. I definitely am leaning heavy off the tee, driver heavy. Like, yeah, there's a lot of water out there. Everyone's going to find it from time to time. Like, even on the 18th hole, like, you can easily save par from the water. It's like not, it's not a terrible penalty. Par 71, so anytime we see that, I'm always emphasizing par 4 scoring a little bit. You have seen some elite iron players have good course history here. There's Tom Hoge, Emiliano Grillo, guys like that. So I do feel like there are some ways to do it. But overall, stroke gained tee to green with an emphasis on stroke gained off the tee for me.
All right, let's get to these tiers. We got the 10K range, only 3 guys.
Yeah.
Is it possible we fade all 3? What are you doing in the 10K range?
Yeah, I mean, pricing is so soft this week that you don't have to. I mean, Finau at only 10.5, and then there's tons of value out there. Like, I think it's too easy not to play Tony Finau here. I'm not overly he shot 80 in the second round. Like, it sucked. I had a lot of Finau as well, but I'm not.
He was top 10 in the first round, right?
Yeah, I'm not overly worried. He's been great all year with the ball striking, especially the iron play. Obviously has the best course history in the field here. Always says he comes back. They have family here, so that's why he plays this event every year. It's a big family vacation and reunion for them. So I don't want to play Burns. I don't really want to play Sahib. So by default, I'm going to play Tony Finau.
I'm going to play Tony, but I'm also going to play Sam. Like I said, I just got a feeling. I think a win's on the horizon for him. He's got his family life together, a new kid, new dad, feeling good, going out there, going low on occasion on majors. Like, he really hasn't been that great. That's the thing that's been, I think, sort of making me do the switch when it comes to him, because the last couple of times out at majors, I mean, he hadn't had the best track record, and he's, top 20, I think. I can't remember if he finished top 25. At least it was in contention. Mm-hmm. When it came down to it on Sunday, going into Sunday. And he did better the last time out. I think at the U.S. Open, he did pretty well also. And just that gives me confidence in him.
Yep.
So I'll go ahead and play him this week. And I'll play Finau just for all the things that you said. In the 9K range, I'm going to go start off in cash. I'm going to go with Killer Keith Mitchell. Stat-wise, he just lines up off the tee. He's great. His iron game has been exceptional. He's really good with his long irons. He's basically everything you're looking for this week. I always get him wrong. So I am slightly nervous because I tend to just get him wrong often. But I mean, I think that he's coming off the heels of a couple of good finishes here on tour, if I'm not mistaken. What did he finish? Like top 5 in a couple of events?
Adrian, I mean, the ball strike has been really good all year. He just
top 5 here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Ironically, he putts really well here, which is not what you would expect, and that's really what's been lacking for him this year. So it's certainly an interesting spot.
So I got him as my first cash game cornerstone. I'm going with the Rook. I'm going with the Am. I'm going with Luke Clanton. Luke Clanton at $9,300 for my second cash game cornerstone. I mean, I'm in. It could be just biased because all these young guys are out here just winning every fucking week. But this guy's shown that he can do it. A couple of top 10s and 4 events played, as an amateur in the last, 2 months.
Yep.
Really, really solid, except his iron game. John Deere Classic was elite. I mean, these kids just come out here and just start winning. I would not be shocked in a year like this where Scotty Scheffler is the best player in the world, but Xander's the one that gets 2 majors, and we get a guy amateur who wins one, and then wins another one as a pro. It's some wild shit going on. Yeah. And then I would say, I would not be shocked if we have 2 amateurs winning this year, and I think he could win this tournament. These young guys, he's going off. Young, I know. Fuck this thing. So I'm going to go with those 2 as my first 2 cash game cornerstones. When it comes down to it, I might play Poston just a little bit. I don't know. His iron game's been so bad. I'm not really sure about anyone else. Who do you like in the 9K range?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. So I think if you're just looking for an ownership pivot, it's probably Keegan Bradley. Has okay course history here and made the cut both times, just not a lot of upside. Poston on the flip side is your sort of bad form, really good course history guy, but I think he's pretty overpriced this week. I would say just from a raw points projection, Luke Clanton, I'd probably agree there that he would be the one that I play here. But as I mentioned, I like the 8K guys so much that I'm probably going to skip right over this and jam Finau plus a bunch of 8K guys.
Why don't you take us into the 8K? Who you like?
Yes, I mean, this is the betting card, right? This is, you got 8,900 Cameron Davis, 8,700 Taylor Pendrith, 8,600 EVR. And I really have no issue with going back to Nick Dunlap at 8,400. Like, what's to say he's probably going to win again, but like, why can't he play well again? So I think all those guys make a lot of sense. Maverick McNeely, and you have the Griot course history. So all those guys are going to be fairly owned, nothing crazy, but I always play the guys that I bet. So Pendrith, EVR, Cam Davis, I'm going to play some combination of those guys with Tony Finau this week.
My third cash game cornerstone is Griot. I'm going with course history and a guy who just doesn't miss a lot of cuts. Like, you know, in an event like this, in a field like this, that goes a long way in cash, right? I mean, if the guy has good course history and he doesn't miss many cuts, it's good enough for me. When you come down to the $8,500, which I seem like a very reasonable price, and it wasn't that long ago where he was playing some really, really good golf. You know, I would say 3, 4, 5 months ago, if I remember correctly. Could be longer. My memory is sort of shit. But I know there was a point in the last year where he was playing some solid golf.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and hopefully his iron game can get back to maybe where it once was. But I do like, I mean, I could go back to Dunlop, no problem. I mean, the guy knows how to win, right? I mean, 2 wins. He knows what it takes to win a PGA Tour event twice. Yep. I mean, it's not like he's playing against a bunch of world beaters this week. You know, it's not like Scotty Scheffler's in the field. Yeah, I can see Dunlop doing again down here. So I do like him. And I you know, there's other guys that I like in this. EVR always scares me.
Yeah.
And like courses with a lot of water.
He definitely does. But again, he played well at the Honda again this year and just seems to have been more consistent this year than we might be used to. So.
You know, if it becomes a putting contest, I don't know how popular Maverick and McNeely would be. But I mean, it was just like 2 months ago where he was playing excellent golf and I was using him in one of them and shit. I mean, he could pound it out there and make his putts. So, you know, if you get him at single digit ownership, it could be a nice leverage play. 7K range. Why don't you go ahead here?
Yeah. So again, going to start with my bets. Kitayama up at 7,800. Just a lot of upside there for him. Scoring off the tee stuff. Michael Thorbjornsen really burned people the last couple of weeks. He did make the cut at the Barracuda, just sort of finished down at the bottom after missing the cut at the ISCO, but he's very similar to Luke Clanton, right? And now he is $1,600 cheaper. So I think that's a good pivot, especially, you know, if you're playing the Bombers Avenue. And then Jake Knapp at 7,300. Again, I'm very bullish on him this week. I think that's a ridiculous price in this field. He could have been $8K or $8,100, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye. So again, I'm going with Bombers and upside here with Kitayama and Jake Knapp. Yeah,
Thorburn. So I've been doing this thing like my gut play in the 7K range.
Yeah,
and it worked out pretty well the first couple of weeks with a top 10 by Novak. I think a top 10 by Noren. It looked good this past week. It was even until the final round. I think he was top 10, top 15 heading into Sunday, and then I don't know what happened.
He made it 8 and 9. He can't
that's what it was. Yeah, you know, that's right. If he didn't do those 8 and 9, he probably would have been like top 5.
Yeah.
He just bogeyed each of those, right? Dude, it's a couple of holes, because that's right. He did. It was just those couple of holes, and he played pretty well overall. So didn't finish where we'd like, but not horrible. I think he was inside the top 15, top 20 in birdies. You know, not horrible for the gut play. This week, the gut play you already spoke about. It's Thorbjornsen. I'm going with the young boys. You know, like I said, he hasn't been doing that well. Like you said, people have been on him, and he hasn't really lived up to what people wanted him to be in just the last couple of events. That's all I'm talking about. But now, you know, coming here, I could see him on a course like this with his birdie prowess. I mean, he's still, in the events that he's played, he's still making a shit ton of birdies, and he's strong off the tee, and he's good with his long irons. So at least with what we've seen so far, a little bit of them. And so I think that's going to be my gut play this week. My final cash game cornerstone's Andrew Novak down here at, what is he, like 7,400. He actually ranks number 1 in my model. Iron game has been strong. Tee to green, he's been making a shit ton of birdies. I mean, he's top 2 in like all the stats I'm looking for this week. At $7,400, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? So I got to go ahead and play him. He's been playing well. He's had some top 10 finishes this season. I think 3 or 4 top 10 finishes this year. I mean, it's not like the top 10 upside's not there. And at $7,400, the cheapest person in my cash lineup. It still leaves you well over $15,000. I mean, I like him a lot. So my cash game cornerstones this week are going to be Keith Mitchell at 9,500,
Yep.
Luke Clanton at 9,300, Grillo at 8,500, and Novak at 7,400. Leaves over 15,000 to finish off the rest of your cash lineup. Other guys I do like. I mean, Sam Stevens on a driver type course.
For sure.
It's just whenever you get driver in his hand, the majority of the time, he tends to fare better than what people think he's going to do. I like him. Mac Meissner, what, 3 top 20 finishes or something like that, 3 top 25 finishes here recently. He's been playing exceptional. Rico Hoey has had like 3 top 10s in his last 5 events or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's Jonathan Vegas. Again, his iron game has been looking really, really good. Hasn't he played well even before?
I think he's going to get popular this week.
Do you think so?
Yeah, with the ball striking, it's been very good.
He's been so good here recently, the way he's been playing.
Yeah.
Anybody else catch your eye down here? Kevin, you?
Yeah, there's a few. So again, I bet Cam Champ. So he's flat 7K. I'll definitely go there. Max Grieserman also been really solid, strong off the tee game. He's at 7,400. Might get a little popular, but again, you're talking 8%, 7%. Austin Eckroat, just for the talent, obviously won at PGA National, made the cut in the Open last week. Don't love him, but I do feel like he is very underpriced for his skill set on this course. And then probably like my favorite really, really low-owned guy, if he's going to be low-owned, is Hayden Buckley at flat 7K. So he was hurt. I believe it was a wrist injury that kept him out for a lot of probably like 6 months, but he had played through it before that and like missed every cut. So it seemed like he was just playing really bad, but he wasn't. He was just hurt. But when he was really good, so sort of end of 2022 through 2023, he was one of the best off the tee, right? So a really good ball striker, but really good off the tee, both in length and in accuracy. He's back to gaining off the tee, but it's all accuracy. The distance is kind of gone. So kind of like when Will Zalatoris came back, right, from the back injury, he was still playing well and hitting well, but he lost a lot of distance. I kind of feel that way with Buckley, but he did just finish 7th at Barracuda, finished 5th at the Schwab, and has made all his cuts in between. So I think he's playing well enough that he could pop this week, and he's 150-1, flat 7K in salary if you need it.
So the 6K range is a little rough. If you noticed, I was looking at my laptop the whole time you were talking because I'm like, who the fuck am I going to talk about in the 6K range other than Carson Young, who everyone and their mother is going to play, right? You got to think he's going to be the highest owned up here. Is he worth the play as a possible 10% owned, 12% owned, $6,900?
No, we saw that the last couple of weeks. So he missed the cut at the ISCO, and I don't think he made the cut last week, or if he did, he barely made the cut last week. No, he missed both cuts. If you're missing the cut at the Barbasol and the Barracuda, and then you're chalk, probably not. Probably gonna stay away. No, the first name that stood out to me was Ben James, who I played a few weeks ago at the Rocket Mortgage. He's another young amateur. He goes to Virginia, out in your neck of the woods. He's younger, so he's still in school for another year and a half. The difference is at Rocket Mortgage, he was 5K, right? Now he's 6,900. So it's a bit of a price hike, but again, plenty of value. I like his talent. I mean, there's really not much down here, but again, if you just want to play bombers, like you've got Goddard up down here, you've got Davis Riley, you've got Callum Tarrant. Like I would take shots on those sorts of guys more than like Ryan Moore, Zach Blair, Joel Damon. Like I don't have interest in that type of player here.
Yeah, I'll probably play like, I don't know, mate. I was thinking about TPC Lee, little KH.
He withdrew, I think, last week, so there might be something there.
Yeah, I'll have to double check on that. I did not know that he.
Yeah, I was gonna play Richie Werenski at 6,300. He's been really good on the Corn Ferry Tour, but he's staying on the Corn Ferry Tour and playing again this week. So, yeah,
I don't know. Troy Merritt and a birdie fest.
Yeah, he's been weird the last couple of weeks. I don't know. It just hasn't been that good. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think Like, I guess if you want to play like Finau plus Akshay plus Planted, you might need one of these guys, maybe, but like that's about it.
Yeah, I'm struggling down here in the 6K range. Like just talent wise, ADC or ADDC, just talent.
Yeah. I mean, it's the right kind of course for him, but he has not shown me anything recently. So
Brandon Wu.
I loved him last week and missed the cut. So
I'll just spit names out here right now.
Yeah.
Callum Tarrant, I could see. Maybe
just Garrett Higo, right? Perfect guy. He hits it a mile off the tee, touched really well. Could also hit 5 balls in the water and shoot 83. Like, you just don't know, but those are the kind of guys that I would probably focus on.
What about Joel Donovan?
I don't love the course fit. No, I liked him much better last week, Barracuda.
Well, I mean, I can't come up with no one else because I've been looking and it's tough down there. And like I said, for cash myself, I'm not going lower than $7,400.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go into the 6K range very deep with a 10-5 top fee now, unless you're trying to build a roster like Ryan was talking about.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Again, I like bombers this week. Play the guys who you're comfortable with. There's going to be carnage. There always is. Yeah, but it should be a fun week.
All right, well, tell them where you can find you there, brother.
On the X machine, our Baroff 427, and I'll be here filling in from time to time for you and Byron.
That's awesome. We do love having Ryan on. He is the official third member of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates. Thank you so much. You can find me on X at KendoVT. You can find my articles every week on gupscorner.com. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a sub. Don't forget, go use promo code Mayo on Underdog. Get yourself a deposit bonus up to $250. All right, should be a fun week. Let's see how it goes. Let's win some motherfucking money. DJ Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words. I done popped the